Hey everybody, welcome to Comedy on Vinyl, episode 27. This week we're speaking with Amy Phillips. She's an amazing impressionist. I first heard her on the Comedy Bang Bang podcast doing her Liza Minnelli impression, and I had to look her up immediately after that. She does just a wide array, but that's the one that stands out along with her Sarah Silverman, because I don't really know too many other people who do a Sarah Silverman, and especially who do it that well. Definitely go to her website, meetamyphillips.com, follow her on Twitter and YouTube. And also, thanks to Amy Phillips, we now have our next live episode coming up on Monday, May 28th, 7:30 p.m. at I.O. West, Improv Olympic West here in Los Angeles. And, we're going to have our guest announced shortly, and it'll be an event up on Facebook so that you can, join up. So you're going to be there. We'll have our guest and the album lined up so that you know what album we're talking about or what artist we're talking about and with whom we are talking about it. So please enjoy this episode. Follow Amy Phillips anywhere you can follow her except for the street. And same with us. Please, also on iTunes, do not forget to rate us highly if you like us, and please, leave comments. Those really help us in the ratings and help us actually track where we are, and they kind of, they bump people up on the charts, and as with any other podcast, we need that too. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Comedy on Vinyl. In this we discussed Dana Carvey. There's no album, but it's pretty damn funny. So thanks so much.
I'm going to get a little bit in this beginning, but...
Yeah. Chris Hardwick style.
Well, you can still continue to talk.
That was it, thanks.
But I love you.
You have my permission to go ahead.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you, too.
Mike?
Love you.
How do you feel about her?
Oh, yes.
Keep in touch.
Look, did I show you that? That's me as Principal Rooney. That was,
From Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I grew out the creepy pedo stash, too.
That is a real mustache.
That was commitment to
that's
creepy.
amazing.
Oh, it's awful. Oh, poor Jen. She had to live with that for like a month.
It took a month?
Yeah, well, because it's a long stash, not just a short, a real.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that.
What other impressions do you do?
For this, I've done. So for the Princess Bride, I was Wallace Shawn, and I just got to do Miracle Max. So I got to do Billy Crystal, and I was also the Six-Fingered Man. For the Goonies, I was just nobody really. I think I was Joe Pantoliano's part. For Ghostbusters, I was Walter Peck, so I just got to play an asshole. In Three Amigos, I was El Guapo, so I was just doing the best I could do.
That's awesome.
Ferris Bueller, I was...
Let's intro this and get into it.
Huh? Alright, that's fine.
Mike is laying down the law.
Let's intro, that way we can get this officially started.
Alright, fine. You don't want Chris Hardwick to be interested? He gets interested in these podcasts, and he's
I want you to get onto that on the other side.
I don't understand. Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, hey, guys, welcome to Comedy on Vinyl. Let me make sure it's recording this time. We had a problem with it last time. Okay. My name's Jason, as you all know, and with me is Mike.
Yes.
And with me, as not usual, is Amy Phillips.
That's me. Hello.
Hi. So this week we're not really talking about a comedy album because it's actually really hard to find comedy albums that anybody of our generation is familiar with that are impressionists.
True.
It's not something that they don't do that. Mm-hmm. Rich Little would release albums.
Right.
Or like I was talking about earlier, Von Meter, who is very famous for doing his Kennedy, released a lot of Kennedy albums. Mm-hmm. But I'm just not finding that now. But you are notable for your impressions, and I would say... I first heard you on the Comedy Bang Bang podcast doing your Liza Minnelli, and I was like, holy fuck, because Arthur is one of my favorite movies of all time, and so listening to you do that, I was like, and I've been waiting for us to do that as a drinking game, so I could do my Dudley Moore, and I was like, oh, fuck, and I was like, I have to get her on the show. So
let me know if you do that drinking game.
I
always need a reason to do Liza. That was I think that probably was the first impression I ever did. Because of that movie.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
It may have been Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman might have been my first impression. I don't know which movie came first. You guys can probably
Pee Wee was later, because Arthur was 82.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah, and...
You guys are their facts. That's awesome. Okay, so then Liza was my first impression.
So how old were you when you did your first impression?
I don't know. I have no... How old was I? I don't know. probably like 11 or
Really?
something.
Jesus.
But it was that movie, and I just remember laughing so hard at Liza Minnelli, and her voice was just so funny to me.
Yeah.
And how, so I would just do bits around the house, and then, my brother started laughing, I think. And I was just like, Arthur, get out of here. Now tell your story walking before I call the cops. Get out of here. But
I can't handle it. That's
it's
just too
so,
good.
I love that movie so much, and so Liza's just fantastic.
Well, and honestly, I think growing up, the only Liza impression I ever heard was, what's his name, who hosted Steampipe Alley? What's his name? Do you know who that is?
No.
Oh, God.
Valley.
Oh, it was a really local, it was a Jersey kids show that was broadcast to upstate New York also. What's his name? He's very famous. He was also on Sex and the City. Super flamingly gay gentleman.
Oh.
He does a Liza in his stand-up. Why is his name
I know who you're
escaping
talking
me?
about.
Mario Cantone.
Mario Cantone. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he does his version of Eliza, which is horrible.
I never heard it
funny.
until later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a good impression, but it's a concept piece.
A lot of guys tend to do Liza.
Yeah.
I noticed this.
Yeah, and I've tried and I can't do it.
You can't do it?
No.
There was an episode recently of the Food Network with
Oh my God.
You saw it? Oh,
I
it was
wanted
the
to talk
greatest
about that.
ever.
That's what inspired me about doing. Well, finish your story.
No, I was just gonna say it was what's her name?
Rocco's dinner party.
No, Paula Dean.
Okay, then we're talking.
All right, that's a different one. All right,
Okay.
so Paula Dean had Liza come to her house and they cooked together. And I was like,
serious?
this is a sketch. I'm like, this isn't real. Like,
I
it was a half-hour episode. It was amazing. With Paula Dean and Liza just cooking together and talking
I did
about
not
food.
see that.
I thought that's what you were talking about. It was just amazing.
That's awesome.
It was phenomenal. I was like, you couldn't write this better.
No,
it was the
that
funniest
sounds
stuff on television.
What did you say?
Well, it was Rocco's dinner party.
No, I didn't see that.
That wasn't on. That must not have been the Food Network. That was probably like Bravo or
Okay,
something.
okay.
So Rocco's dinner party is he has a bunch of celebrity guests and then two or three competing chefs make two different dinner parties or something like that, and whoever hosts the best party wins. So she was one of the guests, and but that was when I had a whole new angle on her, and it was just this last year. About her personality and how she is so nice and so loving and kind that she could not say anything negative about the food or anything because she's so nice. She couldn't be critical. Even if it was something that hands down everyone was like, this biscuit is extremely dry. It's just like breaking apart. And she's like, well, I think it's lovely and they're a very nice person and they're working hard back there and they've got their dreams, and I was like, oh my God, she's so nice. She can't say anything mean.
Shit.
So when I did that Comedy Bang Bang thing, I just remember trying to channel how kind she was. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Have to
Now,
check
do
out
you
that
do,
whole
and you're going to have to forgive me. You don't have to forgive me.
Oh, never.
But I've seen all your stuff online, right? But do you do this mostly as stand-up? I mean, is it a stand-up act? Or
It isn't, but
No?
it's not. And I feel like I kind of really sort of dropped the ball there. And I think this year that's my goal, is really to create a stand-up act out of all my impressions. And also adding in personal stuff. Like, I think that's what has been my stumbling block because I sort of I've done this in stand up before. I've done my impressions and it's gone fine and I do bits and I'm out, But and then I just got really into improv and sketch and that just sort of took over my life and then I just do my impressions and videos. But I was thinking, like, I don't want to just get up there and do, like, impression, and which leads me to the whole Dana Carvey thing. I really like how he blends together sort of his personal life and his experiences as a stand-up comedian and then adds in the voices and tells stories. And I think that's extremely challenging to do.
It is. It's hard to I think it's still hard to resist the temptation to go, which might go a little something like this, and turn around for a second, turn back, your face looks a little different, and here's Liza Minnelli as a rocket scientist.
I know, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's hard, and I mean, when did you? So what special then is your favorite? What's your favorite Dana Carvey stuff? Like, was it SNL or watching his HBO special?
It was definitely because that was one of the earlier inspirations. Was like the SNL, absolutely. Yeah. I just remember doing impressions of, after I got done with Liza, I moved on to just doing other people's voices, the church lady, and, things like that. But, so that whole cast, I didn't really watch SNL when I was a young kid. I think it was like middle school when I really started to get into comedy and then later in high school and stuff like that. So it was definitely like the Phil Hartman, Dana Carvey era, and I loved all their characters and all their impressions, and I was like, wow. So, and I just used to, mimic my teachers, and, we'd have talent shows, and I would do impressions of the teachers, and they'd be like, oh my God, and I was like, oh wow, I must really sound like, I didn't know, I was just having fun, but I guess that just turned into something a little more.
Yeah, right. What, for you, what's the draw of doing an impression? I know, at least for me, like, again, I'm not a great impressionist, but I like doing it.
Yeah.
I still have a horrible concept of what my actual voice sounds like. I have no concept, even though I record myself a lot.
Oh, that's funny. That's interesting.
It sucks. Like, I can only, I know when some voices sound right. But for you, like, what is the draw to, like, want to sound like somebody else? Yeah.
Honestly, it's usually by accident, or it's just because I love them so much, and it's just by doing a joke.
Yeah.
I have taken time to learn some for certain purposes, like when I've had auditions for sketch shows or something like that, and I need to get some more on my roster. Yeah. I'll be like, oh my God, I got to think of some new ones, And I have tried to think of some deliberately, but usually I just kind of back into them. Earlier, like long time ago, I actually started I lived in the Detroit area. And I got on this radio show, and I did a lot of impressions for them. But I remember, like, just stumbling on Fran Drescher just because of one particular day, my sinuses were really, bothering me. And I was like, And I was like, oh, that's Fran Drescher. And I used to always watch The Nanny. And so it was just kind of, like, in there, and then it just came out one day. And then, like, Joan Rivers was just, one day I just was like, oh my God, you look absolutely fabulous. I was like, wow, that's weird. Why did that just happen? But so some of them they just are there, and then others I had to work on. Ellen DeGeneres, I worked really hard on. I could not get her down, and I wanted to because I was on this radio show at that time, and I wanted to get some new impressions. And she was kind of like, she just written her book, and this is right when she came out, and she was in that phase where she was just before she had her comeback kind of thing. Yeah. So she had her book on tape, and it was like when there were tapes. Yeah. So I just remember listening to her book and trying to get her voice down and like trying to mimic, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to get this. I don't even know, like, what is that? What is she doing? And then it was just one day I was like talking, and then it was when I said the word chair and with the R at the end. I was like, chair. I was like, oh my God, that's it. She always is like, oh, weird. It's with the R's. So it's there. So that's weird. How's everybody doing? Want to dance? I was like, oh my God. So some I really had to work on, and others were just kind of randomly there, just as a joke.
Yeah.
Making fun of them.
Well, that's definitely a pleasurable sensation. That's a humdinger. Would you mind squeezing it a bit? Yeah, don't be afraid of it. It can be your friend. Yeah, say hello. Well, hello to you, too. Yeah, just wave at it now. Just say, hi, Mr. Penis, how are you? That's good. Do you have any gum? I don't know where this is going, but we'll just keep doing it. Would you mind saluting it?
Because that's exactly what I picked out, too, and I was
Really?
listening to, because we were just watching one of the compilations. I don't know which YouTube is actually your official. If you want to let us know, what's your official YouTube?
Oh, it's Meet Amy Phillips.
Meet Amy Phillips.
MEET.
Okay.
Not as in food.
That's pretty
Delightful. Don't go to that
very,
one.
very different.
That was when I needed some extra cash. Don't go to that channel. You'll have to sign in. But and then when I went to acting school in New York for a little while, and when I was there, it was a great experience. But I ended up just like doing impressions of all my teachers, and because it was just such a big hit with people. It was just so fun to go back and just. And then I remember I got called out one day. My speech teacher who, they teach you standard American English.
Sure.
Have you guys learned that?
Not class-wise, no, but I know.
But you know what it is, like phonetics thing. Okay,
sure.
So I'm from Michigan, and so it's kind of like, I'm sure you can hear, like in my voice, it's kind of like that, my mom and dad. And, I mean, I still talk like that, but it's way better than it used to be.
Right.
So it was like, the first day of class, you record yourself, and the last day of class, you record yourself. The first day, I was like, I like pap, and it's school. And the last day, I was like, hello, my name is Amy Phillips, I'm an actress. But the teacher was, very... She spoke like, how Grace Kelly did.
Wow.
And so she would always talk like this to everybody. And so I would, make fun of her. And then she came in the class one day and she was like, I understand that someone in the class has an impression of me. So they're going to do it right now, Amy Phillips. So I was like, oh, shit. And which went over fine because it wasn't mean. Right. I don't know. One of the things that I like when I do an impression, if I ever do a video of it, I like to find an angle that's not really overtly mean. Right. Especially, with a lot of the people that I do, I actually like them and find them pretty fascinating. There are a few that I'm like, well, that's just fun to do and make fun of, but I try not to be totally super mean, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, the ones that I get to do, I get sort of forced into doing them because they're in the movie. The problem is, and here's for me. And again, I'm not. I feel like I'm actually trying to compare myself to your level because in no way.
No one is at my level. Mike said that to me before.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we're
that is true. Right.
Oh my god.
No, but it's just having to. We do a show in front of a bunch of drunk people. Those people are the most judgmental people in the world because it's called a drinking game. Everybody drinks.
Yeah.
We drink, they drink. So A, I have to keep up the impression while I'm trashed, and B, I have to not disappoint these kids, like ruin their dreams of their childhood.
What it's built up
to. Like it has to sound exactly like what they're expecting. But when you get it right, it's pretty. But I mean, do you find like?
Can you do El Guapo?
My El Guapo is just like as best a Mexican accent I can do.
Yeah.
And
let's have. I'll do Sofia Vergara talking about El Guapo. Sofia Vergara is my newer one.
Okay, this is going to be horrible. Maybe I should put this on, the actual sombrero on. But let me think.
Oh my God! Look, everybody! Mike is El Guapo. What are you doing in my house? I'm going to call El Bundy and telling you to smoke in. What do you want from me? I'm Sofia Vergara. What do you want?
I'm a horrible improviser, so I'm going to say, would you say I have a plethora of piñatas? That's all it is. It's okay. It's okay.
Confidence. Come on.
I love it.
Yeah, but I can't do any impressions at all of anything. That was amazing.
That was just a Mexican accent. That was a shitty Mexican accent.
It was awesome, and that was it. I love
you know what the plethora is?
I would hate to think that someone would tell me that they know what a plethora is. It's plethora. You have to get that in there. You know what I'm saying?
That is excellent.
But that's what's fun for me is playing with those voices.
Yeah.
I did. We just did Die Hard, and I was Hans Gruber. And I got a cheer after my first line, so your confidence is unfortunately.
Which guy is that?
The bad guy.
He's the bad guy.
He was Alan Rickman's character. He's German.
Okay, he's German.
He's German. And all I said was, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody just went fucking nuts for some reason. We had squirt guns, so I got to kill people with squirt guns.
Oh, nice.
That was a lot of fun.
That's great.
Shit. What was my next question? I had one. It was about Dana Carvey.
Oh.
What was the...
Yeah.
What?
I was going to say, I grew up watching the same seasons of Dana Carvey.
Sure.
Yeah, that's where the SNL came from for me when I started watching SNL. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because Dana Carvey and his impressions were amazing. I've never been an impressionist. I could never do it. The only impression I've ever done in my life was Steve Urkel that I used to do in 8th grade, and I used to do it every day. And I only did it because every time I did it, it got the people to laugh, and I was a performer. Awesome. I'm a performer. I'm like, cool. People laugh at me when I do this. I'm going to keep doing this. Even if it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then it turned into my parents teaching me, as every generation does, the SNL that's on now isn't very good. This is the generation.
Now I know.
Everyone is it. Everyone always says they hate the group that's on now.
It's ridiculous.
Until 10 years from now when they say that it's one. And it's always like, this won't last anymore. Because I love every cast has their their peaks, their best parts
Absolutely.
of it. You know,
I totally agree with you.
it's wonderful. But that's the only thing of some impressions that I have. That's why I love watching impressionists. You're so awesome. I just love watching your stuff, and there's so many great impressions. I love Dana Carvey's. What was one of the best Dana Carvey stuff?
Well,
I just thought
Ross Perot.
his
was
Ross
fantastic.
Perot was
sure.
amazing.
Bush.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
Bush is fantastic.
Yeah,
That's true.
I grew up watching his stand-up special because I had that on VHS.
Oh, you
and
did?
And I play piano, so I learned to play Choppin' Broccoli.
Oh my God!
I learned to play that because I love that song. I'm like, I gotta learn how to play this. So I would go to choir, and I'd show up early for choir, and I'd be banging it out, Choppin' Broccoli. It's like, oh,
you
they're
know how to
laughing.
play that and everything.
Yeah. It's like, and they're laughing, so this is what I'm gonna keep doing.
Why didn't you bring your keyboard, Mike? You should have brought your keyboard.
I know, I should have
Oh, I would have loved to hear your rendition of Choppin' Broccoli, because that absolutely, like my friend from high school, one of my good friends, to this day calls me. She's like, hey, what's up, Choppin' Broccoli? You want to go hang out? And I'm like, yep. I was voted like most likely to be on SNL, like in my yearbook.
Oh, wow.
And I have not. I've auditioned twice, but I did not get the job. I'm like, come on! But it says it in my yearbook. You have to give me this.
Yeah, right.
Do you put that on your resume? It shows on your...
Oh my
Johnson
God!
High School.
If I ever go back to audition, I should totally bring that with me and attach it to my resume, my headshot, and be like, Lauren.
Take a picture.
Come on.
Show the whole page, and then staple it into the back.
Yeah.
It's highlighted.
With all my friends' signatures, and like all their, like...
We voted.
A petition to get on. Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah.
But yeah, auditioning twice though. That's pretty damn good though.
It was so amazing. Oh, I believe me. I could die tomorrow. I'm fine.
Right.
I'm fine. I feel very honored. I never ever thought I would get that opportunity ever. So it was great. Yeah, it was an awesome experience.
When you first saw Dana Carvey, then like, what was it? What was it like seeing him do those impressions for you?
I just couldn't. I couldn't wrap my. I was like, oh wow, people like can actually encapsulate anybody, because my dad used to do impressions, kind of like do the John Waynes and dad impressions. Like he used to do, and he can do voices and he can sing. And
awesome.
So I was always entertained by him. So as I began to get older and see that people did this as a profession, in that type of format, in a sketch format, that was kind of interesting to see people do multiple voices. Like, even Dana Carvey's Woody Allen impression.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's Jimmy Stewart.
I mean,
so good.
And I love how physical he gets with them, and he always finds something really, with George Bush, it was pretty obvious, not gonna do it.
Yeah.
But he always finds a little something with each one, which I find really amazing. Because sometimes I can mimic the voices, but I don't really have a very funny angle with it, and that's where it gets frustrating for me. I'm like, and I just push it aside. Mm-hmm. But it's always so much better when you have something like not a catchphrase, but something you can really hone in on. It's just so much more interesting, and I think that sets people apart.
Yeah.
As comedians, and I think people who are on SNL end up getting there to that joke faster than anybody else. They get that. They can exaggerate that.
Yeah.
Which I always really admire.
It's and I think I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off base. It's not that they're not great impressionists too, but they've got that support system of writers there also to help them find that.
Yeah. I always wish I had that.
Because like his impressions, they have such. There's Jimmy Stewart, the one with It's a Wonderful Life one.
Yeah,
and that's one of the greatest sketches at the end where they're beating the crap out of that guy.
Yeah.
That's just wonderful, because you use that impression in a great sketch, and it really worked, and it just added to it.
Yeah, that's true.
I keep defaulting to the blowjob though in the comedies in the comedies, the stand up. Is it in that stand up?
Which one is this?
Where it's him getting a blowjob from Katharine Hepburn?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
My
You have not heard
I don't know.
Maybe it's not in that special.
I don't
remember that.
Okay, then it's a different
funny.
special that I saw. Yeah, he's doing his Katharine Hepburn, and he's...
Wait, it's Jimmy Stewart?
Jimmy Stewart gets
yes,
a blowjob.
yeah, it's like, oh, God. Whoa.
And then she's...
Yeah, that's it.
I think she's flooded.
Yes, I do, yeah.
Horrible.
It is on a special, you're right. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Same special.
One of the... Oh, good God.
I'll take the Mulholland. Sure, you want to meet my date? Hello, ma'am. Would you two stop your jabbery? This lady's got to go. See you later, Johnny. So long, Johnny. I think she's flooded.
Oh, but that's hilarious.
But does it? Yeah, it must have done something for you as somebody who. I mean, you said you saw that someone could do it as a profession. Did you start looking into more?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
You
that's
think
fine.
I would? I mean, I guess I was kind of like, I don't know. I didn't really think too much of it. I wanted to be a ballet dancer, and I was always dancing and active in sports. And then it wasn't until high school that I started to get into drama, and then like into the little comedy groups and stuff like that. It wasn't until like almost my senior year when I started doing that. So I was kind of a late bloomer, and then I did go to acting school, but then I came back and I got my degree. So I was not pursuing it. I did not like start right out of high school or out of college pursuing it. Like I really took a very long time to start to get serious about. Like it wasn't until I was 30 when I started like taking improv. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Where did you take improv?
In Detroit at the Second City.
At Second City?
Yeah, which is now closed. But
it is.
yeah, it's unfortunate. But Detroit has such an amazing improv community because there's like a lot of cross-pollination. There's another theater there called the Planet Ant that does, original comedies. So you're improvising a storyline and you're creating these original comedies.
Oh, that's awesome.
Plays. So I learned there, and I learned at Second City, and then for like about a year and a half, and then I was like, I'm going to move to Chicago and pursue more improv there and more acting, because at that point I do voiceovers for a living, so I wanted to move to Chicago to get more commercial work and stuff like that. So then I spent, a couple years in Chicago, and I was at I.O., and have you heard of The Annoyance? In your travels?
Yeah. I lived in Chicago for a couple of years. So
you did?
That sounds familiar,
Okay, yeah. Mick Napier's theater.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and there.
So you went to I.O.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I spent most all my time at I.O.
Okay.
I.O. and Annoyance is pretty much where I.
What year? Do you mind me asking what years that was?
When I was in Chicago, it was 2007 to 2009.
Okay, so it's probably later than my friend Scott worked there. I don't think he works there anymore. Okay.
Because then I moved here in 2009.
Okay.
But
I just totally brought the podcast down. Sorry, energy level just dropped.
Oh my God! I can't believe you brought up the years.
Oh my God! What did you do? Impressions.
It's so funny. Like I always like to. It's fun to me which of my friends what impressions they like.
Yeah.
It's always so telling. Because some people are like It's fun to do impressions with my mom because she likes ones that no one else will ever appreciate. You know what I mean? Because we watch so many old movies together, and she'll just be like. That's how I started doing Audrey Hepburn. But I can't remember the movie where she's blind.
Shit.
What movie is that? I'm a huge Audrey fan.
You are?
Yes, my whole apartment is decorated with Audrey.
Yeah,
stuff.
every time I went to his
Really?
apartment, I thought it was his girlfriend's stuff.
Yeah, everyone thought it was.
Oh
It's like,
my
it's her stuff. Like, nope, it's my stuff.
That's so awesome.
I know. What movie is that? Okay, sorry, Mr.
You can do my Mickey Rooney impression.
Oh,
from
Something
that
in the Dark. Light in the Dark.
That sounds right.
I just made that up, but it's Something in the Dark. But she, and now my impression's probably not going to live up to your standards, but she's blind in this movie, and like my mom and I remember
Wait
watching
Until Dark.
Wait Until Dark.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And I remember, like, after the movie's over, I'm like, oh no, I can't see. Oh, I'm so cute though. Look at me, I can't see, and I'm still cute. No. And my mom was just dying laughing, and I just like, so there are impressions that I like to do with people that don't, other people would never appreciate, or, that's or like, I feel like I could have been I feel like my time on SNL should have been in the 80s. Like, I would have been amazing. Like, we're talking, like, huge. Now, maybe not so much. But then, because it's like all my impressions, I feel like, are so old. A lot of them are old school, you know. Like, I love doing Rita Rudner. I don't, why?
Yeah.
I don't
saw
know.
you. Oh, that was good.
Did you see that one?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay.
Really, I think I saw it when you did the Affleck, like everybody auditioning for Affleck.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just love her, and she was an early stand-up comedian that I feel like
I used to watch
me.
all of her stuff on Comedy Central.
Really?
I love Rita Rudner.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, that was. I like her. Go on.
We have like the same intro. Let's hang out.
I like your Cheryl Hines too. I like the ones that I really like the ones that you wouldn't. I'm like with
that
Audrey.
Random.
I wouldn't have thought anybody wouldn't do an impression of Audrey Hepburn.
Right.
It's like, That's why Cheryl Hines. I'm like,
Why?
Great idea. That's great.
And where's that going to get you? I have a funny story to tell you about that. Is that I had when I first moved here, I remember meeting with this management company. I will not say who. And they were asking me my impressions and stuff. And they're like, "So, are you working on any now?" But I wasn't really working on Cheryl Hines. It just sort of came to me one day because I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I was like, well, I got this Cheryl Hines impression, that I just is kind of new. Where it's like, Larry, you know what? Larry, I mean. And they're like, oh, and that's going to get you. They were such assholes.
Wow.
I was like, okay, and I will show myself out. But, that is a perfect example of one that I love to do because I just like to say, Larry! And, there's this guy at the same voiceover agency that I go to every day, and whenever I see him, his name is Larry, and he's got to just want to punch me in the gut. Every time I'm like, Larry, you know what?
That's great.
But I don't, run around Hollywood doing my impressions everywhere. I just don't want you guys to get the wrong idea. Or your wonderful listeners, I do not run around like Robin Williams on every street corner doing impressions, I swear to God. But, yeah. So, but yeah, that's Cheryl. I love Cheryl Hines.
Yeah.
And,
Me too.
I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's
To be fair, you've got a Sarah Silverman, and that's pretty contemporary.
That's true.
Have you met her? And then
I have not met her. And I don't know if she knows that I do that one. Bob Odenkirk knows I do that one because he's seen it. And he knows her. And a lot of people do like that one.
That's good.
My more current ones would probably be like Sarah Silverman, Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
I have a Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
Sofia Vergara. Who are some of my new ones now? I can't even.
Can you pull them out quickly? I'm not familiar with many impressionists. Sorry, but can you pull them out, or do you have to? Are there some that you have to go? Okay, hold on.
When I'm still working on them, yeah, it takes me a second, and then it's just like, oh, that was horrible. But yeah, I think now with all the ones that I do, pretty much, I think I can hopefully get there. Some might be, I don't know. That's a good question. I would hope that I could get there pretty easily.
Well, most of these are coming pretty easily to you. Do you? Because you had mentioned in the email to me that maybe we could talk about Rich Little. Are there other did you go and look back?
I did look back because I was like, well, who does impressions? And I remember Kevin Pollak does impressions.
Sure.
But he was never influential to me. I didn't even know who he was.
Right.
In fact, I didn't even know he was really first a comedian until I listened to Mark Maron's podcast. And had him on, and they were talking about that. But
how many times did he do his Christopher Walken during the podcast? That's all I want to know. Or his Shatner. Here's my Christopher Walken doing my Shatner. You ready? Sorry, I like Kevin Pollak, but
yes, I understand totally. So I just kind of went back and I was like, oh, this is so interesting because I'd always heard of Rich Little being like the man of 1,000 pieces.
Right.
So I'd known, I'd seen his stuff before, but then I did go back and I was like, wow, this is so interesting because I wonder if a lot of guys kind of recycled his impressions.
Yeah.
Because he did like Jimmy Stewart and he did George Burns and he did a lot of ones that people later did, even Dana Carvey.
Sure,
but different twists, I think, which is always interesting because there aren't a lot of female impressionists. So whenever I've done any of my impressions, I've never copied my impressions off of anybody. Right. Even though I know that there are other people out there who probably do similar impressions.
Sure.
I didn't know of them doing it at the time. Or if I had seen it, completely forgot. Like, Anna Gasteyer did Martha Stewart on SNL.
Sure.
But I remember I never went back and listened to that when I was trying to get Martha Stewart down.
Mm-hmm.
And my whole thing with her was that she was like, it's very beautiful. Everything's very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
And she kind of sounds like my mom a little bit, so that was not hard to do. But I remember going back and being like, oh, it's a good thing I didn't listen to her do her impression. I know I'd seen it before, but I wouldn't want that to affect me, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the case, like with Dana Carvey or whoever does impressions, I would hope to some degree. Because it's no fun when you just copy someone else's impression and then you're banking off of it.
Yeah. I mean, they get regurgitated. I mean, the only people that thinking back, because again, I love watching impressionists. That's the only reason I have an interest in doing it. I'm not great, but it's fun for me. I'm not. But then there's Rich Little was pretty good, and I remember as a kid thinking he was probably the greatest thing on the planet. But then if I look back, like Frank Gorshin, I don't know if you ever saw Frank Gorshin, who was the Riddler on the old Batman series.
My dad has told me about him.
Best impressionist ever.
Oh my God.
Brilliant.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you should look him up doing, well, just about anybody. But at the time, I mean, to the point where he was playing, like, till just before he died a couple of years ago, he was playing George Burns on Broadway. Because he's the only guy who could really do George Burns properly. You know, he was like what you do. He likes to study. He liked to study it. He would get his own voice of it. Mm-hmm. He would find it in his face. A lot of face work. He did a lot of face work. That was what he inspired Jim Carrey. He's the reason Jim Carrey kind of became an impressionist, really, because like I mean, for you, like as far as obviously you nail the voices, but when I'm watching the videos, you've got to do a lot of the face too. So I mean, are you watching mostly a lot of video? Are you listening to them? Do you do separate?
I usually get the voice down first. I listen a lot. And once I get the voice down, then I kind of add in the other elements. Sometimes they all kind of come together at one time.
Sure.
But if I'm really studying from ground up and I don't know how to do anything, then it's usually the voice first and then the movement second. But my boyfriend actually told me that he thinks that I'm more of a Phil Hartman style impressionist than like a Dana Carvey or anyone else, because I'm more reserved. I don't know, I'm probably not saying it the right way, but because I'm more close to the vest about it. I don't exaggerate too much.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
It does, because I was actually thinking about that a minute ago. I was going to bring this up. It feels to me like there are two types of there are the rich little types, and there are the Frank Gorshin types. I would put you more in the Frank Gorshin camp or the Phil Hartman camp, where it's an accuracy thing. There's because doing a good impression is like an algorithm. You know, you're trying to figure out a way to turn your voice and your face into that person's voice and that person's face. You know,
it's getting the essence and the narrative of what the public finds of this person into it, and that's what Phil Hartman always tried to do.
Because you're not just nailing what you observe, you're nailing what everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
okay,
why
what do
drawn
people
to
feel about what's the narrative around this person, and then founding Florida.
Exactly, and I'm lucky. All I have to do is repeat verbatim exactly how it sounds in the movie. That's all I have to do. I can't put that person in a situation that well.
All this month, leftover Beatle memories.
I remember my first Snickers bar in America. You know, I bit into it. And there was these peanuts in there. I couldn't bloody believe it. And I took another bite, right? And you can't believe how many peanuts were in there. It was like there was a little man on the other end feeding peanuts into the candy bar I was eating. And I called John over. I said, John, look at this. It's all packed with peanuts. What's all that, right? And John says, well, you know, John, you know, he says, well, of course, you bollock. That's what the rapper says, you know, packed with peanuts.
That is very hard.
Right? Like, what do you do, like, to...
That's really hard. I actually find that to be very challenging, too, because it is easy, not easy, but it's easy to just sort of repeat, you know, a line, and it's funny to exaggerate an already existing line. Yeah. That's where it's already funny, so that's funny. But then when you want to make it an original, you know, comedy sketch, that's difficult, you know, putting them in a situation and then making that funny. But I'm trying to get better at that, but I also, you know, my writing partner is also my boyfriend, as well as I have another friend now over the last year who I've gone to and said, look, I want to start making more videos. Sure. You watch a lot of Bravo TV and reality TV. My boyfriend does not. Can we collaborate? My friend Nancy Edwards. And so her and I, like, I'll come up with a concept usually, like with the Sofia Vergara. That's a perfect example. I came up with, I want it to be like a failed commercial, and I want to put her at, like, doing ASPCA. That was my idea. So then I'll go to her, and then she'll come up with basic dialogue and stuff like that. And then my boyfriend Brett will direct it, and then he'll try to up the ante. And he's like, well, let's put rolling graphics over you while you're dancing, you know? So it's kind of like recently, I feel like I've had the opportunity to be more collaborative with the impressions. And I want to take that further. Like, I want to be able to do that more and better and really up the ante and make things funnier. And because a lot of the times I'm under a time crunch and I'm doing all the editing myself, I'm shooting it myself, and I've got to, like, get the wigs. It's like, I don't have enough time. Yeah. So it's challenging, like you said, to take it out of its original context and put it into something original. And hopefully I can just keep getting better at that. That's my goal, but... we'll see. Is
there anybody that you're trying to whittle it down now? Are there any impressions that you don't have to do them, but that you're working on that?
I won't do them because I'm nowhere near, but I'm trying to work on Chelsea Handler.
Oh, shit.
And, do you think that's a good one?
If you could do it, absolutely. God, that would be difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I can't even think. Because that's the thing. Is like that's my brain doesn't work in a way where I can hear what's different about every voice necessarily. If I hear, again, like what you were talking about earlier, if I hear my voice doing something similar, I'm like, oh, that's kind of, again, that's
you
the
can
algorithm.
hear it in your own voice. That happens to me a lot, where I'll just be talking, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, whoa, that's weird. That totally sounded like Gwyneth Paltrow or something. And then, like, that's one of my more recent ones, where I don't know if I'm necessarily nailing the voice on that.
Sure.
But that's one where I'm like, okay, well, I have a love-hate relationship with her. Like, I really, over the years. But then recently, because I love her work, I've always loved her as an actress. And, so the love's always been there.
Sure.
And then recently with her newsletters, her online newsletters and stuff like that, I get them emailed to me. And they're so funny to me because they're so far out there. Like, they could never relate to my life. Ever, ever, ever. And I just remember getting one a couple months ago, and it was like, hi, you guys. Listen, if you're ever in Lisbon, Portugal, you have to go to this cafe and try the beeswax. Like, and I was like, okay, I need to do something about this. It's so not right for my life. I can't. Yeah.
That's so fucking funny. Is there one that's like really far from your voice that you're really surprised that you can nail down? Like a lot of them are. Like clearly, you sound nothing like Liza Minnelli, so there you go. But like, is there one where you just struggled and then we're just like, oh.
Sarah Silverman was hard to do.
Really?
I think.
Really?
That's one that I do have a hard time getting into. I mean, it's like Barack Obama, right? It's a hard one to get into because, I don't know, she just is so funny. But I love her because I think she's so funny.
Oh,
That's
sure.
what's fun about some of the ones that I do. It's kind of like, oh, I'm spending some time with Sarah Silverman.
Yeah.
It's great.
And I think there's, well, let's talk really quick about, sometimes we talk about just comedy on vinyl in general, or comedy, listening to comedy.
Yeah.
Mike and I both grew up in households that, in Mike's household, the comedy on vinyl was hidden. It was like a treasure. He had to find it in his attic.
In the attic, amongst all the other vinyl that my parents had thrown away, basically.
Yeah.
And
And then in my household, my parents gave me some vinyl, like George Carlin to listen to and stuff, so that's what, like... So, did you have any experiences like that?
Well, I will say that Bill Cosby, in this row, I think it went... Bill Cosby, Whoopi Goldberg, Bill Cosby, George Carlin, Eddie Murphy. I'm not sure. You'll probably be able to correct the dates on that. Maybe Eddie Murphy was before. No, Eddie Murphy was after.
Yeah.
But that was the line of stand-up comedians that I found wowie wow.
Yeah.
But we did not have. I think we might have had a Steve Martin vinyl album in the house at one point, and I do not know if I listened to it or not. I have no idea.
Okay.
So, so it wasn't until later, like on cable with HBO or Showtime or whatever, that when they had the specials that I was able to watch them. And then I remember I was babysitting across the street, and George Carlin on Laserdisc, guys.
Oh, really?
The big Laserdisc.
To flip it over midway through.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes, and so that was pretty amazing. But so that George Carlin blew my mind.
Yeah.
The whole thing about the stuff.
Yeah.
Get the more stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that is so true. and then again, I was like, 11 or 12 at that point, and that was totally right around the time when SNL I started.
Yeah.
But the stand-up stuff, amazing, and Bill Cosby was one of the first, that I ever remember listening to, and and watching that with my family. I think we all had an appreciation for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember watching the first ever Carlin special. My brother called me. My brothers were 10 years older than me, so they would call me into the room. Mike, it's on. I come into the room, and it's on HBO, but scrambled, so you could hear it. I'm like, this is nuts. Why do you need it? You don't need that video. I've been listening to Cosby records for 10 years. I don't need to watch that. So then the next time it was on, I put my tape player in front of the TV and press record.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I got about.
Was it?
I'm not sure. Can't remember.
Was it pre-Angry Carlin?
Yes,
I only like the nice Carlin.
Me too. I
think the stuffed one is one of the last.
It was early.
That is.
Yeah.
It was one of the last before he just fucking tied the hair back and said, what, fuck this.
Screw everybody.
Yeah, I hate it. But he didn't mean it. Like, he's one of those guys who's got a character who, not to get off on a tangent, but he's got a character who, we're going to be talking about Andrew Dice Clay later with somebody else. He's got a character who I don't hate. Like Andrew Dice Clay's character I hate. I can't listen to Angry Carlin, but I get the character. I feel like he was developing with like all the against all his hippy dippy people who are turning into money grubbing assholes.
Probably, I sensed a real true anger deep inside of him that he was working out and needed to talk about. I was like, just do it,
Yeah, right.
But it was hard to swallow because as an audience member, I think it was a little too much and.
Especially that age when I was listening to it, a lot of times it was just like, he said fuck.
Yep.
Some of it was like...
That's why I love the 7 words. I mean, when my parents... my mom... First of all, my second word ever was shit. I think we've talked about that before.
Are you serious?
Yeah. My first was kitty and my second was shit. And when my parents let me listen to this, I have it in here somewhere. I finally found it.
Are those all from your parents? Or those?
No, these are... a couple of them actually are, but most of these I bought recently. I've spent way too much of my money on this stuff.
That's so great.
But yeah, this one I bought recently. This record contains 7 words you can never say on television. Hearing it could infect your mind, curve your spine, and lose the war for the Allies. I like that. That's good.
I love the ones that you get some of these that came from like college radio stations or something. They'll have stickers across the front of the vinyl that say, not suitable for airplay, do not play. If you play this, you will lose your license.
Really?
Like, I saw something like that on a Randy Newman album, actually.
Oh, really? Randy Newman?
It actually had 2 they're distinct, slightly different stickers, slightly different wording, that you shouldn't play them on air, etc., etc., etc.
Before the parental advisory stickers.
But I mean, this is something that, and again, I try not to harp on it because I sound like an old man every time, but there's an experience with sitting down with an album, either by yourself or with a friend or a bunch of friends, where I made a lot of friends over comedy. Did you make any friends like through comedy, at least as a kid, or maybe when you got,
That's a good question.
Because a lot of people get into comedy, and it's one of those things where I'm the only person who gets it. I got to get out of town. I got to go somewhere else, live my own life, and comedy becomes my life. For me, I made my best friend through comedy, so that's why I'm always curious.
Not until later, I have to say. I mean, in high school, I do remember bonding with certain people over, like Eddie Murphy, Raw, and we would all go in my parents' basement and watch that. But I was not like 100% committed to comedy. I wasn't all in. I just really appreciated it, and it was just something that I just like to joke around, and I had fun. But I didn't really think too hard about where is this? Who's really putting it out there? Can I get the next album? I don't know. I think I was very distracted with so many other things going on in my life. Extracurricular activities, guys.
Of course.
Tennis team. Hello.
You were dancing.
Gotta go. Dancing and drinking at a very young age. But I digress. But definitely later, when I really was like, when I watched improv for the first time, and I was like, holy shit, these people are making this up right now. Right. This is crazy. And they're creating a scene. And I always liked acting. So I think from an acting level, it's probably why I wanted to gravitate more towards the collaborative improv groupy thing. You know what I mean? Like, because everyone's together creating something together. But I also think that stand-ups, are collaborating and they're hanging out too. So I don't know why I didn't gravitate towards that. I just didn't. Right. But later on in life, definitely. That's all my friends right now are all comedy people. Every single one of them are the closest friends to me are pretty much all comedy people. Yeah. For sure.
And they're all probably mostly nerds about it, right?
Absolutely. Oh my God, yeah. And then it's like, I mean, my boyfriend, case in point, I mean, he's like got, the Mr. Show book and the SNL books, and he can tell you, he can tell you trivia about early SNL, early this, early that, and movies and films and things like that. And he was I think he more gravitates towards like, sketch comedy and comedy films rather than stand-ups. But, and I think, although, maybe whatever. You know what? It's not his interview. This is my moment. This is my time. I'll drink this. Anyway, so, but yeah, everyone
He'll be here next week for his rebuttal interview.
You won't take this from me. Never again. Oh, God. So, yeah, comedy's fun. No. I don't know.
Yeah, well, if you'd listened to me, it would have raised taxes.
Yeah, and then I would have had one term.
Yeah, that's so funny. I almost forgot to laugh. Very witty, very clever.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, you thought, didn't you? Sometimes you think too much, don't you? Keep her simple. Don't get cocky.
I'm not cocky.
Yeah, you seem a little cocky.
You do. How the cock of the walk?
That's not why we're here.
Okay.
Yeah?
We'll take it up later.
And we'll take it. Well, we will take it up later.
out
Don't
in
look
the
away.
back alley.
Don't look
We'll
out
take it out
there.
later in
Don't
the
look
back.
over there. What are you doing? Where are you going? Right here.
There's a naked lady in that painting over there.
That's
so I'm
all right.
looking at.
Don't look away. Look here. Okay. Let's keep her slow. Slump her down. Keep her basic. But here, we're not here for this. We're here for this man here. Now, you got to listen to these fellas, Borat.
It's Barack.
You are? Good. Well, listen to us. Now, listen, you got to do the right thing. You understand?
Yeah, Babcock.
You know my name.
I do.
Yeah. Listen,
Because
President...
he didn't doesn't mean that you don't.
That was a cheap shot. Sorry.
That was cheap.
Yeah. Listen, you understand these financial regulations are important to prevent bubbles.
Absolutely.
We got a lot of bubbles, and they grow. They get bigger. 1,000 points of bubbles coming at you,
All over.
growing all over the place. All of a sudden, pop. You know what? The rich guys get all the money.
I don't know if I had a point, but I usually don't.
As someone who does voiceover and stuff, were you ever a singer, vocalist? Did you ever sing?
Not professionally, no. I mean, I have in shows, but nothing like major. No. I never really went down that road.
Cool.
But
that was it. That was just the question. Sorry.
Would you like me to sing something for you?
Yeah.
That's also
Liza Minnelli style. That's how it's
Have
got to
you
go.
ever done tertiary impressions, like Sarah Silverman doing Cheryl Hines or anything like that? Have you ever?
Oh my God, no,
Like-
that would be funny. I mean, Larry, it's like that's hard. That'd be really funny.
Yeah,
I don't know, but that that's funny because I was watching some old Dana Carvey SNL stuff when he did Carcinio.
Yeah,
it was like Johnny Carson being like Arsenio, and I was like, that's amazing. That's pretty funny. But he didn't have to change his voice too much. It was just more what he said.
Yeah.
With the
he made it more of like, it was more of like Johnny Carson with a little bit of Arsenio with Arsenio's audience.
Yeah, right. Arsenio's audience did most of the work.
I will steal one story from Kevin Pollak where he claims he was on an airplane and Ed McMahon was also on the airplane. Ed McMahon was sleeping as the plane landed and he walked up and in his ear said, "Ed, we're on." And then, he woke up and freaked him out.
No
This is after Johnny Carson was dead, by the way.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Huh. A Muppet. I got that for Christmas.
That's awesome.
It is the
I
best thing
can't
on
believe
the
I didn't even notice him until just now.
He's amazing.
I'm an eye contact person. I only see people.
That's because
not things and stuff.
you're an empathetic human.
I've been in this room a million times. I still look around at all the...
There's
is
a lot
a
of
lot
shit
to
in
look
this
at.
house. There's way too much shit in here.
I have puppets.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've done an improvised puppet show before. There's a show
Really?
out of Chicago that is called Felt.
Really?
Yeah, and it's an improvised puppet show. They do it iOS.
Oh, they do?
Awesome.
And so one of the guys who started it, Caesar, he moved here last year. He was he moved here temporarily, and then he wanted to do Felt. So me and a couple other people did it here, and then he left. And now we're like, well, what are we gonna do with these puppets?
Yeah, right.
But
Are you
we
still
want to keep
doing the
doing
show?
it. No, we're not because it's kind of like it's his name and his show, so we can't really do it without him.
Right.
So I don't know. We're going to figure something out. But we've done a couple videos with the puppets.
That's awesome. No, that's good because that's another thing. Because I keep talking about Chris Hardwick because I just can't help it. But he's doing a show with Neil Patrick Harris and puppets on his channel. Neil Patrick Harris. I can't remember what it's called, but it's Neil Patrick Harris and puppets. So that's awesome.
Wow, I didn't know. Oh, that's amazing.
Well, because his whole Nerdist channel is going to have just all this insane shit. He announced 30 different shows.
Really?
Yeah, including Kids in the Hall, doing new sketches.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I'm assuming it's new sketches, not old stuff. I'm assuming they're getting together and doing new stuff. And then, but yeah, Neil Patrick Harris and puppets. I've been wanting to do something
right?
with
They just
puppets.
got together and just redid
old sketches.
Yeah, that's actually
right now, all these years,
Yeah.
they're not replaying the old sketches. They're just shooting the ones.
So
We didn't get these ones right. We rewrote them. We're gonna retool them. Yeah.
But I've been wanting to do something with puppets. Maybe not necessarily. I love this puppet, but something I build myself or something. Because I wrote a sketch pilot with puppets in it.
You did?
Yeah, but it was not that good. And now somebody's actually doing a film version, a film that sounds exactly like what I want to do. It sounds a million times better. So it's fine. A noir puppet movie. Yeah, that's what I want. I want
That's two of my favorite genres.
Right.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it
God.
sounds amazing.
Because
So
puppetry is a genre,
Well, of course. Yeah,
I know whatever, you know what I mean.
Let's see. Let's go back to Dana Carvey because we haven't really talked about him much.
Oh, yeah.
But about that special,
Yeah.
let's talk about the special a little more because since we don't have an album to discuss, we can talk about that HBO special, when you first saw it and what it was, what it meant to you as a person.
Well, let me just tell you. I actually really, really like how he intertwines, like I said, his personal stories with his impressions, because I find that incredibly hard to do. And voices and characters and stuff. It's like it's amazing.
And music. Like he had the guitar and his piano and everything. Yeah. Sorry, Garth.
Yeah.
He did so much. It was like a variety show with stand-up.
Yeah, you're right. Like, and how he can go so quickly from one to the other is amazing. I find that, I'm like, well, that would be the ultimate challenge, I think.
For sure.
You know, when he does all the different presidents talking, and that is just incredible.
Yeah.
The concepts he comes up with, too, to put these impressions, like the celebrities, in these different boxes. Like this, what is it called? The Oracle? The President's Oracle or something like that. Do you know what I'm talking about? Was that from the that was from the later one? The Squatting Monkeys Don't Lie.
Oh, okay.
That was from the later one.
I haven't seen that one.
But that's an example of like, it's just like Reagan coming back and talking to, you know, Bush and Perot and Gore and Clinton, like 5 or 6 presidents, or not presidents, 5 or 6 political figures.
Yeah.
He's talking to them and he's flipping back and forth, and I'm just like, how in the world, you know? It's just such a great concept.
Are there other, and I try not to concentrate too much on this, but were there other women? Well, you said not many women impressionists, but I mean, are there
only the ones on SNL?
Yeah, right.
You know, but I used to love Jan Hooks and Nora Dunn.
Amazing.
Yeah, Nora Dunn.
And I used to love. Do you remember when Nora Dunn did Pat Stevens? And she's like, "Hi, this is Pat Stevens from the Pat Stevens Show." I used to love her and her characters, and but you know, I'm sure they did impressions, and I'm sure it affected me. I can't really think of like one main one that they each did, except for Jan Hooks did Kathy Lee.
Yeah, right.
That was really funny.
That's true. I've forgotten about that. Oh my god, because I guess they've had to do an impression of Kathy Lee for the last 20 years. They've had to just keep doing it. Somebody else do her.
Yeah, with when Dana Carvey was doing Regis, which was hilarious. His Regis fill-in is incredible. Which is a lot like Johnny Carson, actually.
Yeah, that's true. His, Garth is actually based off of his brother.
His brother,
yeah, who invented the video toaster.
Really?
Yeah, which is the first thing I ever cut video on. Yeah, his brother's a genius, like pretty much certifiable genius. He invented this amazing. If you see in Wayne's World, he's got a shirt that says video toaster, and that's because his brother basically invented it. It's the first nonlinear video editing system ever. It's the grandfather of Premiere, of Final Cut, of Avid, all that stuff.
Are you kidding me?
No, he's a genius, and he just basically said that that's the voice. I was
like, what is video toaster?
It's amazing. It's the best
when
thing.
you put toast
I was really thinking
I
was like, he invented this thing where you're sitting there in the kitchen watching.
Is that really that intelligent?
That's what I thought. I feel like, why is he ragging on this guy?
But yeah,
sounds slow.
His brother is like, but he sounds like he might have Asperger's, something like that. And that's what Garth became. And I will just point out that that's me playing Garth, by the way.
Oh my God! Look
that
at
was
me.
Killer. That was my favorite thing.
Oh, that's a great wig.
I had to. Oh, that wig was fucking. Oh god. And I had to do the Foxy Lady dance, which was...
Oh, my God.
But you know what's funny? It's like, I'm just curious, do you get people coming up to you? Because, like, when I do these shows, I have people telling me I'm great, but they are shit-faced, okay? So I don't trust it. It's like when Woody Allen talks about in Annie Hall how he doesn't like an audience to be drunk. He doesn't want Annie to get high when they're having sex because he doesn't think it's legitimate, the reaction. Do you, like, what... I'm just curious. So, do you get people coming up? Do they just... Since most of your stuff's online, people just email you
on the streets?
Right.
The answer is yeah. It's like I'm trying to eat at P.F. Chang's, and it's like I'm waiting for my brown rice, and it's like, please, people, back off. No, absolutely never.
After a show that you get people coming to you, go, oh, listen to my...
Yeah.
But I don't do stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm never doing these impressions
or
live.
Anything? Because people need to see. I mean, obviously, you're seeing it online. You're everywhere online. But
you're right. But that's the thing. That is. I agree with you. I need to be performing stand-up I needed to be doing that.
So this is a therapy
All right. Well,
So
there's
I really
an
do feel
open
like it.
mic tonight.
Yeah, right. So this is Amy Phillips' therapy session. So here's what we're saying, Amy. Here's what you need to do.
I am on a couch.
From two guys.
God, you guys.
Yeah, from two guys.
From two guys that don't do stand up
Yeah,
at all.
have never.
Wait.
We're just nerds and we love it.
We love albums. And things.
I like the idea of paying just two dudes for therapy.
Yeah.
Like two dudes.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey guys, what's up? Because I know you're not going to bullshit me.
Right.
Like,
That's true.
I might need to come here next week and give you some real
You're
advice.
welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Turn that thing off. Let's get down to business. What am I doing wrong in my life? And let's talk about it.
To be
Two
fair,
dudes.
to monetize it for us, we'd have to record it and broadcast it. I'm sorry. But we can bring your boyfriend in, like we said, and have, a little couple.
No! It's my time.
I'm sorry.
Two dudes and a puppet.
Two
Therapy
dudes and a
session.
puppet. That's true.
Do you want to play with the puppet?
We can. You can feel free to play with the puppet. My girlfriend, my fiance got me that, and made him look a little bit like me. He's got glasses. He's balding a little bit.
It's
and,
amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm very high. I posted the video. I cried when I got that thing. I cried like a little baby because, like, I wanted a Muppet my whole life, and that's an official Muppet. It's from like the Henson, it's a Henson licensed thing, so it's awesome.
Yeah, I can't believe that you got it. That's
They sell them at
incredible.
Toys R Us.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they
They're
don't.
customizable. Ask my. She's.
You're lying to me. Don't mess with me.
I'll tell you, one of the
No,
greatest
what?
sketches ever was the sketch. Every time I hear Muppet, I think of the state sketch where
The Eat Muppet?
they eat Muppet.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful sketch. He's like, this is great meat. It's blue. And he's like, is this rabbit? Nope, it's not rabbit. It's Muppet. How do you get Muppet? You hunt Muppet. And they go to the window and they say, can somebody show me how to tie my shoes? This little Muppet pops up. I'll show you how to. And then they choke it and kill him.
That's right.
They eat Muppet. It's just, I love the Muppets, but whenever I hear it, the sketch immediately pops into my head.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
I was like, I wonder what a Muppet would taste like.
Delicious. That one would taste like sherbet.
Yeah.
That's very
For
true.
sure.
That's very true.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you guys do stand up?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, I just semi-do impressions.
So can I count on you if I ever do stand up that you can show up at one of my shows
Oh,
and then give me
Oh, yeah.
copious notes after?
Absolutely.
I will take them.
All right, that's fine. We'll do that.
I have done stand up before. The second time I ever did stand up, I won a contest. I won
Oh, really?
$100.
Really?
That's awesome.
And it was when I was still in Michigan, and it was pretty amazing because I did feel kind of bad because there were a lot of these comedians that had been hitting the circuits, the open mics, and that they were all at this kind of this contest thing, and there were a lot of people there, and then I was just like, I'll just do some voices, and then there were a lot of cheers, and then I got money. I was like, oh,
That's awesome.
it was really awesome. You'd think I would have followed that road, but no. No.
I feel guilty sometimes that we don't do stand-up and we do this show. I mean, it's a nerdy thing. It's like hosting a video game podcast
And not
be
playing
we don't
games.
play games. We
Yeah,
just
but I'm talking about
talk
shit
to
that's
you about the
old.
games that you play.
It's true, but I mean, to be fair, I would do a video game podcast, and I only watch Dan play video games.
If it was only Atari stuff.
If it was only, I never even played Atari.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it just occurred to me, has it occurred to you that maybe you could just go around and do stand-up as Sarah Silverman, and then, just do it that way. Just go in the Midwest, go back home a little bit, be like, hey, she's just dropping
Small
in.
club.
That is so
I just
funny.
want to drop in for a minute. And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely, bump this asshole. That would be great. That would be amazing.
I just want to drop in for a minute.
Shoot a documentary about that. That would be awesome.
That would be. That's
would be.
actually really funny. That's funny.
Sold.
I've done an impression with someone who I do an impression of.
Yeah.
You guys don't watch Bravo TV,
Not much.
but there's
Top
a
Chef.
Top Chef. You do?
Oh, okay.
Well, there's a fashion stylist show called The Rachel Zoe Project.
Okay.
Rachel Zoe is this character, and no, she's a real person. I mean, her character is a character. She's a Muppet. She styles celebrities, but she has her own reality show. But I started doing impressions of her, videos of her, and they eventually got back to her.
Nice.
And then she contacted me and wanted to do a video with me. So there's a video of us doing I'm the Zoinator, like the Terminator, like her clone.
Nice.
And it was funny because when I met her, she was like a character. She really was like that, and she was what a great sense of humor. Because on the show, she's very, she's into fashion, and high fashion, and you'd think very unrelatable to you.
Sure.
But when I met her, she's like, oh my God, you are so fucking funny. Oh my God. And then I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And then her reality show taped us taping our video.
Oh, wow.
So it was actually on the reality
that's
show.
great.
Awesome.
So it was really fun. But it got me inspired. I'm like, I want to do, how are we doing on time? Because I got 70 more stories.
That's fine. Go right ahead. No, we're good. No, we're good. We're fine.
No, this one actually is coming to an end. But I want to do more videos with the celebrities that I impersonate.
Of course.
I just don't know how to make that happen.
I was going to ask if you'd met, how many of them you'd met who knew that you did.
Yeah,
That was English.
I got
was
it. I
very
speak
good.
that language. I met Holly
You
Hunter.
meet them ever?
I meet them. They meet me. We meet together. Puppets.
Sorry about that.
But I did a voiceover. I had a voiceover job, and I was playing like the son, like the prepubescent son of Holly Hunter and John Goodman. This is a random campaign that only aired in Britain.
All right.
That's why you do believe me, right? Now.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
Does not sound believable. But
You can't find it anywhere. It's not like
it's not like us. Don't worry about it. Don't Google it.
It's from Canada.
It's
You
called
wouldn't know.
Slabbing. But it's called Sky Plus TV, and like we're these monsters. And so anyway, Holly Hunter is one of the impressions that I do.
Yeah.
But I met her, and I could not tell her that I did it. That's why, like, I just would not do that. I can't do it, especially like in a work environment. I'm not gonna be like, hey, Holly, I do this. It's great impression.
Right.
So I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. But it was so funny to be with her because all I kept thinking was laughing in my head. 'Cause she was like talking to me. She's like, yeah, in Louisiana, the shrimp are just so big. I mean, the shrimp, you would not believe the size of the shrimp. And I'm like, oh my God, she's talking about shrimp. I can't handle this. But so I met her, but she did not know I did an impression of her.
Yeah.
And I met Rita Rudner when I saw her show in Vegas because we got I went with my parents and we got the package where we could go meet them. And I was like, oh, you're one of my heroes, and she's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, you're so great. She's like, okay. And so she had no idea,
Oh my God.
But I don't even know if that time I was doing impressions. Oh, I don't think I ever did a video of her by the time I met her. So I would have never said anything anyway.
Yeah.
And then Rachel Zoe, she obviously knew, and that's it. I think. Yeah.
I feel like Sarah Silverman's likely to happen, right?
You think so?
Yeah. You know what I do? Facebook. Not that you can Facebook Sarah Silverman, but that's how I get everybody on this fucking show.
That's a
Like,
good idea.
how do you get all these people on your show? I'm like, I fucking emailed them.
It's easy.
It was easy to get. Like, I got Matt Besser on the show that way. I got everybody on the show.
That was great.
No, he's like one of my
pretty
heroes.
laid back.
Yes, he is. He's one of my heroes. I did all the UCB
so
classes
great.
and stuff. That's where I did improv. And it's like I'm sitting in his house 30 minutes late waiting for Jason to go, oh, God, he's out there washing dishes. And I'm going, one of my heroes. I'm sitting on his couch.
That's
and I'm
awesome.
talking to him. This is really awkward.
Did you go through his drawers?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
What was in there?
I went into the bathroom and I was like,
What's in here?
Yeah.
prescriptions. That's all I'm saying.
That's all you'll say. Yeah, that's good. That's a note to end the thing on, I think. Here's what I'll ask Amy. Then we usually ask people at the end to sort of summarize, even though we didn't get to talk about Dana Carvey a lot, why you think people should listen to Dana Carvey or watch Dana Carvey. I mean, because we hope people who are listening to this have never heard of such and such before, maybe. So maybe we're exposing them to such and such or such a person for the first time. So why would you say to check out Dana Carvey?
He is one of the best impressionists, one of the best comedians that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And he's kind-hearted in his humor, mostly at times, and he just goes for it, you know what I mean? And his stuff is always changing. He doesn't just rely on his old impressions. Like, I mean, when you see him on talk shows, even to this day, he has new stuff. I just remember seeing him recently, I think it was on Letterman, and he was describing how you get a Charlie Sheen impression, and you combine Jimmy Stewart and Jack Nicholson, and they meet in the middle, and I was like dying.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
God, that's good.
I know. He's always relevant. He's always coming up with new stuff, and he's the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that succinct enough?
I think that's pretty succinct. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you,
being
Mike.
here.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
God, Mike,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, Mike. Amy, thank
Wow,
you.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
is so.
Thank you.
This is we're coming to
This is
we're having a realization
Thank
right
you.
now.
You're
It's
welcome.
nice. We're having a moment. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and have a good thing.
All comedians want to be rock stars because they're incredibly cool. They always look like they're about to vomit.
Comedy on Vinyl is recorded at Fort Awesome Studios in beautiful downtown Burbank, California. Our producer is Mike Worden. Our host is Jason Klamm, and he's also the editor. Comedy on Vinyl is a Stolen Dress entertainment production. You can check out all of our other podcasts, books, videos, other audio stuff, probably some writing, at stolendress.com. And please check out Comedy on Vinyl at facebook.com/Comedy on Vinyl, twitter.com/Comedy on Vinyl. And please subscribe to us on iTunes, rate us highly, and spread the word.
She's cold as ice. Paradise and the feeling was a nice there's a lady I know. If I didn't know her, she'd be the lady I didn't know. My lady, she went downtown. She bought some broccoli. She brought it home. She's chopping broccoli. Chopping broccoli. Chopping broccoli. Chopping broccoli. Chopping broccoli. Chopping broccoli. She chopped broccoli. She chopped broccoli. She chopped broccoli. Chopping, she chopping, she chopping, she chopping, she chopping, she chopping. She's a chopping broccoli.